Magazine's expert talk series, Mind the Brain. Today we have with us Dr. Binoy. Dr. Binoy is an assistant professor at the National Institute of Advanced Studies, or NIAS. He is also a research affiliate at the Center for the Study of Neuroeconomics at George Mason University and an external affiliate at the Krasnow Institute of Advanced Study. Dr. Binoy's research at the Collective Cognition Lab, where he's the principal investigator, focuses on collective cognition in both animals and humans, science communication, and behavioral change. He studies the cognitive factors influencing knowledge, beliefs, attitudes, and autobiographical memory of both adults and children from urban and rural areas of India. Dr. Binoy also studies the role of cognitive abilities and behavioral flexibility in determining the behavioral adaptation of 3 piscine species. He has authored books, journals, and several research publications. He's also conducted significant research on the development of behavioral and cognition-based strategies for the conservation of endangered fish. Dr. Binoy has several scientific achievements to his credit, so you can check down below in our description box to learn more about him. And let's now move on to the video. And welcome to episode number 4 of Mind Matters Magazine's expert talk series, Mind the Brain. Today I have with me Dr. Binoy. Thank you for being here today, sir. So I will just dive right into the questions. You have done significant research, right, sir, in focusing on the role of behavioral flexibility and cognitive capacities in determining the course of behavioral adaptation. So could you describe to our audience in detail what you do? I'm sure that we'd all love to know, and it'll prove great insight to us.
Okay, so first of all, thanks Nikita for inviting me to talk to your friends and colleagues. I like to talk to the budding minds because they are the future. They are the future of the research. They are the future of the science, and they are the consumers of the science. So I could be considered as I started my career as an animal behaviorist, and slowly I realized that human beings are another animal whom earlier Desmond Morris has called the naked ape because we are the apes without fur on our body. So I extended my work on the mind in quote unquote to the human beings also. So I study mainly fishes, like other people are using rats or mouse as a model system. I use fishes, and my study focus is focusing on how the animal adapts its behavior according to the need of the situation. Because one of the biggest issue for every animal is it has to take decision based on the situation. At the same time, what happened that it may not be able to make changes in behavior as the situation demands. You may know if this capacity to or this situation where the animal will be unable to bring behavior flexibility, or in another term it is called behavior consistency, is actually is a big issue when they live in the natural world, because natural world is changing, correct? Every second the world is changing. We are able to adapt with the situation because we have the capacity to bring flexibility in our behavior. So I am studying, one of the major area of my research is to understand how the animals bring the behavioral flexibility, how that is connected with the lateralized utilization of brain hemisphere, means left brain versus right brain, and how the experiences in the childhood, quote unquote again, the childhood of a fish, how it is influencing its personality trait. The personality trait means the consistent individual difference in behavior. So like in the case of human personality, you may know, we say that, yeah, this person don't have a good personality. He's a charming person. She is a very nice person, likes to talk, extrovert, introvert, kind of things. In animal also, there are personalities. So, but this personality sometimes work as a hindrance for bringing behavioral change. You may know, people saying, I was intending to bring the change in my behavior, but I failed to do so. If I was able to make some change in my learning pattern, I will not have to go through this kind of trouble. Your friends may be talking like that many times. If I'm able to get away from the mobile phone, I could have spent more time in reading. So like that, but the behavioral flexibility and behavioral change are the major topic of my research. Then what happened that I was studying fishes, So currently we study two kinds of fishes, rather three kinds of fishes. One is an air-breathing fish, which needs to breathe air to survive. It's like an amphibious kind of fish. It needs both air in the oxygen as well as oxygen in the air as well as oxygen in the water. And second is a fish which grows up to the size of 20 to 40 kilogram. Yeah, you hear it right, 40 kilogram. It's called Deccan Masir, an inhabitant of Kaveri. And third species is a fish which lives underground. They live in the lacunae or the water columns present under the surface. So they are called subterranean fishes. So this fish we are studying because they got separated from the course of evolution around billions of years ago, and they lost their fins, their not gills, their fins, their scales, and they look like a snake rather than a fish. So people get them whenever they dig and make the new wells or when they clean the well. So they live in an environment which is totally strange to human beings. So that is one line of work. The second line of work is I am trying to understand human mind, the mind of not. So this line of research has two major branches. The first branch focus on how the decision making in human beings, how their previous knowledge, the mental models, the attitudes, the so it's called KAVP. So what we do that we try to understand how the decision making by human beings from different cultural backgrounds are affected by the mental model, prior knowledge, their attitude towards that specific things, and the practices their community follow. So we call it as KABP approach. So we are trying to understand two areas following this study, this line of research. We are trying to understand how people respond to the animals sharing habitat with them. We are getting a lot of issues like where we have to fight with the elephants attacking the crops, and another side you are getting the monkeys attacking the crop. So on the other side you get the wild boars attacking the crop, and on one side we are saying that you should go for uh, a co-living with the animal. At the same time, it's not that much easy. So we are trying to understand how people take a decision and how their environmental decisions are influenced by these factors. So that's the second line of work. In this line, I have another connection with this fish work also. The subterranean fish, which I said, it is only away, it looks like a snake. It's almost slightly blue in color, and don't have fin, and it never look like a fish. So even if you say somebody it's a fish, people won't accept that it's a fish. So then the issue was that they live in the wells, correct? The wells are the sole source of water for people. So they are in conflict with this fish. So we are trying to bring behavior change in people. We are trying to convince them that this is not a dangerous organism. So we are trying to understand, like I said, following the same model, we are trying to understand the mind of the natives of that area and how they are going to respond to the animals when they come into contact, when they come to, or when they visit in I cannot use the term visit, but when they are appearing in their wells, and how their behavior could be changed in a positive way that these fishes are protected. The third line is a little bit, which may be more interesting to you people, the students. I'm trying to understand the environmental education, and we are trying to understand how children make sense of an environmental information. Okay, when I say you people are in, you are in which standard?
12th, 11th, 12th, 9th, and
Yeah,
7th.
12. So the simple question is, I am giving you a simple example. If I say biogeochemical cycle, have you ever experienced biogeochemical cycle? But you believe that there is biogeochemical cycle, correct? If I ask you 25 questions, you will be able to give the answer for biogeochemical cycle. And if I say that there is if I say that uh, the uranium is a part of the biogeochemical cycle, you will say no, it's not. How you are saying that? So we are trying to understand how children learns this information, how they make it a part of their memory as well as the knowledge base, how they change it according to the new knowledge arising. Because in one fine morning, somebody discovers that the uranium also has a cyclic nature like that. You will be changing. I'm cooking up an example. Uranium don't have any cycle like that. So first of all, don't say that Binoy said uranium has a cycle. That I'm giving an example on it. It's an analogy. Uh, so that is happening whenever a new scientific information is given to you people. Correct. So until Darwin's theory came out, people thought that everything is created by God. So then he said that no, there is something called evolution. It was very difficult for the people to accept that knowledge, but it is a reality. So we are trying to understand what are the cognitive load. There is a term called cognitive load and cognitive gap. Cognitive gap means the cognitive capacity or the cognitive resources required to understand a new information. And the cognitive load means, whenever you might have heard your friends saying, yeah, the physics or the mathematics, yeah, it's a scary thing to many of us. Mathematics is very difficult. I cannot understand that. But at the same time, you might have seen when somebody tells that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, or when you are taking a decision to cross a road, you are doing the mathematical equations without knowing. So after some time, you feel it, yeah, this is a silly mathematics. How it happens? So we are trying to understand the cognitive load management. We are trying to understand how they accommodate the new information coming, and we are trying to understand how they utilize this information into their further decision making or further learning. That's the third line of work going on. This got extended to other areas also. I have another student working with me. She's got interested with this idea, but she had another plan. So we extended it to another situation, that is the communication of disaster risk. When a cyclone comes, what we can say, when a flood comes, you get a number of messages, correct? So what happened that sometimes people trust that message, sometimes people don't trust that message. Sometimes, yeah, like the famous story, like, yeah, the wolf is coming. So initially everybody trusted that message. Slowly the trust lost, and again the trust came back when the wolf came, correct? So like that, there is in many contexts what happened that this kind of messages are not translated into the way which we expect or the policymakers expect, and it ends up in big disasters many times. So we are trying to understand how the group or a huge number of people or the community make sense of these messages and translate it into protective action. Because we use different kind of tools, and we are trying to understand how this we have different steps for that. We are trying to understand how the attention, so the theory of the cognition, we are trying to translate into it, how the attention is attracted by the messages. Certain messages are very effective in attracting the attention, correct? Like many of the advertisements, their taglines, it attracts attention very easily. And then comes understanding the message. Some people may be understanding the message in one way, other people may be understanding the message in another way. So, but if they are not understanding it in the same way, it is not going to bring any change, the expected change in the community, of the behavior of the community. And third thing is, not only the person should be able to make sense of the message, but they should be able to personalize that message, because yeah, it is going to influence me, my family members. So how this personalization happens? Sometimes it may be a conscious process. I may be going through this, I may think that yeah, A is like experience like this, B experience like this, C experience like this, so I also may experience a similar calamity. Sometimes it may be like just like an unconscious response, where we heard some of the friends said that you have to run. We don't ask why we have to run. It's because only because the friends said that we run. So we are trying to track out these factors, what is going to influence this kind of decision.
You decided to work with fish models as compared to other scientists who are working with mice or um, other animals, monkeys as well. So I would like to know more about what went behind the thought process of using fish. It's really interesting.
First of all, fishes are present in the base of evolutionary tree. So, like the life has evolved from tetrapods, which was similar to the fishes. I am not telling that the current fishes are the are the organisms from which we originated, but the current fishes, 32,000 species of fishes living on the earth, and us are connected to the evolutionary link. Okay, and this connection is a distant one. So and another thing is it is easy to maintain them. So there is a very famous statement. Earlier, people thought that fishes don't have any memory or the capacity to think or take decision. So, like you may be remembering our famous Dory, correct? In Finding Nemo. So that film. So Dory forgets everything in 3 seconds. It was not a character made by the story writer. There was a myth about fishes that they have 3 second memory only. But and another thing, but when like I said in the initial phases of our discussion, people make armchair speculation and they go for species centrism. If the organism is similar to us, we feel that it may be more intelligent. Correct? We always feel that monkeys are more intelligent than dogs because we have a similarity, visual similarity between each other. But when people started to explore the cognitive capacities of the fishes, they got actually they got shocked. Fishes also have the capacity to take decision. They remembers, they changes their preferences, they learn, the learning influences their behavior. So the study of the fishes is essential to understand the evolution of the cognitive system. If you want to know how the system has evolved, it is essential to understand their behavior also. And second thing is fishes are being exploited like anything, and many people believe that they don't have pain or anything like that. So in order to understand what is the cognitive status or the status of the cognitive status these animals have, it's also important to develop policies to protect them as well as handling them. That's the second thing. Third thing is fishes are easy to maintain, differing from our mouse and rat, and it is easy for conducting studies also. So if you analyze the standard literature nowadays, you can see that it is zebrafish which is evolving as a model system for many of the studies now. So I was not interested in zebrafish. I was interested to have to study some of the fish which are the natives of our own area, so that that could be used for the well-being of them also. That's why I went for these three species, which are native to India and which needs protection, and we don't have much information about their behavior. So that are the four reasons we went for the fishes.
That's really
And yeah, in the beginning itself, my first paper itself was on weather familiarity. Like, I didn't know Nikita Nambiar until we spoke now. So if we meet in a market or in a bus stop or at NIAS itself, I may not even smile at you, or you also is not going to smile at me. But the factor called familiarity changes everything. Correct. Now, if we meet at NIAS, you will say, "Hi, Binoy," or I will say, "Hi, Nikita, why are you here?" So the question was, what bring this miracle of transforming the behavior into a totally new realm by the miracle I call familiarity? So I studied this, and my first study was that was in 2004. I was the first year PhD student. So we asked this question: how behavior change will be influenced by familiarity in fishes? So the funny thing was that at that time, the fish cognition or the cognitive abilities of fishes, yeah, people were thinking monkeys are a little bit intelligent, but fishes means strange. When I said this to my PhD supervisor, he said, "Binoy, you are taking a big risk." Because it's jumping into a strange area and nobody knows anything about that. And I also generally feel they are fishes only, correct, the base of evolution. So but I took the challenge, and I found that generally the fishes live in groups. This the fishes which I study, it's called climbing birds. It's an air breathing fish. They live in group. So the question was how they take a decision to join a group. Correct. So think that you joined a new school, and you found there are there may be so many groups in the classroom. You have to join a group, no choice, or you have to continue as a singleton. How you take a decision to join a group? That was the first question I asked. Then the literature says that generally the fishes goes to the larger groups. So like like joining a big larger political party always brings the more benefit like that. So then my question was, I was that is already proven. Everybody know that. So my question was that what will happen if one of the group is very large and the other group contains it's a very small group, but one of your friend who is familiar to you. So we are talking about fishes, okay, and familiarity in fishes. So every day I have to convince my guide that yeah, you have to be cool, okay. So the result was very interesting. Their decisions are influenced by the familiarity. So they prefer familiar over larger group at a certain level. After which, if the familiar group is group composed of familiar individual is small and the other is very large, I'm not going for the mathematics and ratio of that. If the other group is very large, they will say, okay, my friends are there, they let them be there. I'm going to join the large group because it gives protection. Correct? Because from the predators, from the enemies, and the larger group finds food also very easily. And the risk of attack is diluted, so they will join them. And when the group size, the ratio changes, then there will be a trading off point. Then they will decide to join this group, saying that I'm happy with my friends. So the interesting element was that even in a species which is in the very lower level of evolution, like fishes, familiarity matters. So that is a very interesting finding at that time because people never expected that. So then slowly and slowly it moved to the behavioral change kind of research. So fishes are important. So I gave a lecture during in a national institute, not in our institute. I don't remember the institute where I gave the lecture. So after hearing my lecture, one of the renowned professors from Japan came to me and said that I have to be really careful about my goldfish, which I have kept in my drawing room. Now I have to think about his or her right also. It may be remembering me, or it may be feeling sad. Thanks for showing that. Fishes also can have the capacity for, in quote unquote, mind, or the rudiments of mind.
Thank you so much, sir. This is so insightful. Um, so, as a kind of concluding thought, I would like to know if you have any tips for rising seniors, those of us who are going to be deciding our majors in college, or those of us who are trying to find a career in the cognitive sciences. Do you have any tips for us? What should we do?
Say, we are living in a situation where the knowledge is available on your fingertip. But it brings another thing. That is a third point I called the cognitive load and the difficulty to choose. Because the older generation was facing a big issue that is lack of knowledge, lack of information. The current generation is facing the other extreme of the same issue that is excess knowledge. So, if somebody want to continue to the cognitive science, they should have the interest in more than one subject, because cognitive science handles with a very interesting scenario that is the mind, which don't have any definition, and which is not restricted to the brain, which extend to the society or the environment. So you should read. You should read not only science. You should have a pinch for social science as well as humanities, because whatever novels you are, you may know many of these works. No, I not that. I missed a point. So yeah, because there is a very famous book called the Cognition in the Wild. It is not the cognition in the wild, that's jungle. It's the cognition in the nature. So this book talks about a very interesting phenomena. Think that in a port, so this famous book starts with an example of a port where a large ship is being taken to the dock. Okay, so the captain may not be seeing what is happening on the other side. So he will be getting similarly, like a person who is taking a decision sitting at a place may not be seeing what is doing going outside. What happened that the coordination between a number of people, the collective minds, gives the idea or makes a new mental image using which the people will be taking decision. So the most important element is don't restrict your reading to science. give equal importance to social science and humanities. You will be getting more insights, which is not possible by going through a single channel. And if you want to become a cognitive scientist, you need to be an interdisciplinary researcher. So you should have the capacity to cut across the or move through the compartments or connect the compartments of the knowledge systems. So that is my advice to the youngsters. So along with reading science and studying science, find time to watch TV, find time to watch films, find time to see what is going outside, and try to explain in your own ideas why it happened. What element of the mind could have been, or how the mind could have been taken such a bad decision. Okay, or how a person like this, having this much facilities, thought about that. Take the case of Hitler. Okay, in science you are not going to get the direct answer for that, why he became a person like that. Is it a psychopathy, is it a social adaptation, or is it just greed to get the power? He did it, the Holocaust, or whether it was any revenge like that. So that kind of questions helps you to come out with that kind of exploration of the knowledge helps you to come out with a question which is not much asked earlier. And only that novel questions takes you to the novel answers. And only the novel answers is going to bring any change in the society. So whenever you do science, have an eye for the society also.
Yes, sir, that is so true. And on that note, Dr. Binoy, it was a pleasure speaking with you today. And I would like to thank you for joining us for our Experts Talk series. It was
Okay, thank
incredible
you.
having you.
All the
Thank you.
best. Yeah.